Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Rosa Parks was well known for refusing to give up her seat on a bus, and in so doing providing the spark that led to the civil rights movement. I recently learned that the story of another woman who did something similar. After the Civil War, a woman who had served as a nurse, a spy, a scout, and a cook actually actually the first woman in America to lead troops into battle, was on her way to a job as a nurse that had been promised to her. On the way, it fell through, so she decided to return to her home in New York. She had little money, but was able to travel on a half-fare ticket because of her military service. A conductor told her to move from a regular passenger car into the less desirable smoking car. When she refused, he cursed at her and grabbed her. She resisted, and he summoned additional men for help. They muscled her into the smoking car, injuring her in the process. As these events transpired, white passengers cursed her and told the conductor to kick her off the train. Her name was Harriet Tubman. This week we are looking at some of the people the Lutheran Church remembers and commemorates in March, and two rather new additions to the calendar are Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth on March 10th. They are remembered as renewers of society. That little story of Harriet Tubman sounds shocking today, but frankly, it is a rather small incident in her remarkable life. She was born into slavery and received a serious head injury while a slave. From that point on, she began to see visions that she understood were sent to her from God. She escaped her slavery, and then, safely in the North, she began returning to the South to lead more slaves to freedom. She was known to carry a gun to protect her and her fellow escapees from the men and their dogs hunting for them. But she was also known to threaten any of her own party who wanted to turn back, that she would shoot them so that the safety of the rest of them would not be jeopardized. When Civil War broke out, she served with the military as a nurse and a cook, mostly without pay, until it was realized that her familiarity with the Southern territory she had traveled secretly was an asset, and she began to be utilized as a scout and a spy. Later on, she used her knowledge of how to travel secretly and scouted and mapped the area around Port Royal in South Carolina, and was instrumental in leading troops in the Union raid on Company Ferry, which resulted in freeing 750 slaves. She also was part of the unit of African American soldiers that attacked Fort Wagner in Charleston Harbor, serving as a cook. She served in the military for 3 years, earning a total of $200, around $4,000 in today's money. Her life keeps going and going. In her later years, she was active in the women's suffrage movement, working alongside Susan B. Anthony. Even later, she purchased a farm next door to her home to build a home for indigent colored people, and grew frustrated that the church that was running it required people to have $100 in order to become residents there. She said, "They make it a rule that nobody should come in without they have $100. Now, I wanted to make a rule that nobody could come in unless they didn't have no money at all." Her faith was important to her as well. One person said of her, "I never met with any person of any color who had more confidence in the voice of God as spoken direct to her soul." Her faith also provided immediate assistance. She used spirituals as coded messages, warning fellow travelers of danger or to signal a clear path. She sang versions of Go Down Moses and changed the lyrics to indicate that it was either safe or too dangerous to proceed. As she led escapees across the border, she would call out, "Glory to God and Jesus, too. One more soul is safe." There is much more to say about Tubman and her life. She is directly responsible for leading at least 70 slaves to freedom in 13 trips into slave territory. She was nicknamed Moses. Sojourner Truth was an American abolitionist and activist for African American civil rights, women's rights, and alcohol temperance. She was born a slave but escaped and sued her former owner to recover her son, and was the first black woman to win such a case in the United States. She became convinced that God had called her to leave the city and go into the countryside, testifying to the hope that was in her. Her most famous speech includes a phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" In those days, most thought slavery was a man's plight and didn't consider that women and children suffered it too. Her phrase took on life to point out that among the blacks were women, and among the women there were blacks. During the Civil War, Truth helped recruit black troops for the Union Army. After the war, she tried unsuccessfully to secure land grants from the federal government for the formerly enslaved people. This program was summarized as the promise of 40 acres and a mule. She continued to fight on behalf of women and African Americans until her death. Often, society needs to be renewed. These two women were models of faith and perseverance to make our world more just. Their lives stood for all people being loved and valued as children of God. It's a lesson we are still learning. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.